welcome to Family We've Got Your Back. This week we are excited because one of our dear loved ones is getting married in about a month. And we're so happy for him. And so, Shout out to Russell. Congratulations. We're so happy for you. And so we thought we'd talk about something that, if you are aware of it, can help you avoid some newlywed miscommunications.
And just in general,
strife.
In general in life too.
Right.
This is something that it just kind of landed in our lap today.
Yeah. Well, kind of, because I was going to talk about something, and then we found out about Russell getting married, and so we changed our minds. So anyway, and what I was going to talk about didn't feel right anymore. Anyway, and it's not just a newlywed thing, like Trent was saying. It's every relationship thing. Every
relationship, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it has an actual term, but I call it, I don't remember.
I don't remember what you called it either.
Awareness bias?
I know we threw around the word bias in there.
I think we called it awareness bias.
Awareness bias, yeah.
And Trent's going to tell a story as the definition.
Yeah, because there's.
It was so funny.
We coined this phrase ourselves.
Yes, we did.
Michelle did anyway.
So yeah, but go ahead and tell your story. This is how we.
So we just went out to our typical Friday date, and we were eating and talking.
Crowded, noisy restaurant.
And 2 tables behind me, I heard someone just say the word Pythagorean theorem.
So did he hear any other
Nothing.
words from them? Just general noise.
Well,
and then all of a sudden he hears 2 words.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's...
yeah.
It's and then doesn't hear anything after that, right? But his brain,
right.
It's like, oh, recognize this.
I recognize it. And so and I enjoy teaching math so much that triggered a happy response. Oh, they're talking about the Pythagorean theorem. Even if they're not. Who really goes out to eat and talks about the Pythagorean theorem? Nobody.
Well, our family, because we're giant nerds.
Well, because they try to please me.
Well, and in our car trips, it's, okay, to the minute, who can guess what time we're getting there? And then you have to do the math problem to figure out how fast we're going and how far we have to go yet and what mile marker are we at, and seriously, this is the car trip game we play. So, of course,
don't play.
I do too. I just don't do the math. I just
you
guess.
Play. Yeah. Anyway, and so this is why Michelle coined this phrase, this awareness bias, because we all.
Okay, it may be a real thing that somebody else has talked about. I just haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
But it is a real social sciences thing. I just don't know the real name for it. Okay, so I just don't remember the real name for it. Anyway, so it is a real thing. It's not just something we made up on the spot because Trent listens to one word of other people's conversations in a crowded restaurant, right?
Pythagorean theorem, that's 2.
Pardon me.
Anyway.
One phrase. There we go. So anyway, another thing is you never see a vehicle on the road before, and then you buy that car or are researching that car.
Yeah, take an interest in it,
and all of a sudden you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Or you learn a new vocabulary word, and then you start hearing it used all the time.
Plethora.
Oh, yes. We also showed the kids Three Amigos the other day, and they're like, this is the dumbest movie ever. And we're like, no, it's the greatest movie.
It's pretty good.
You guys just...
Anyway, yeah.
Kids don't appreciate fine movies, I'm just saying. And they're over there laughing at this. They think it's the word dumb. Anyway, but
this is a completely huge thing. We all do this.
Right.
At least I feel that we all do this. It's and understanding that this happens regular. Oh, should we follow up with part 2 with my student?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So then after Pythagorean theorem happens, we get in line to pay, right? And the guy says, Hey!
Mr. Christensen, do you teach at Mount Logan? And I'm like, oh, yes,
And
I
he
do.
comes around from the register and gives him a hug and gives us a discount. Why? Because 5 years ago, he was in Trent's class, right?
Guess who doesn't remember him at all?
Because you have 100 and
Yeah, 130 kids every
130 kids every year
at
and
least.
his brain is not going to deem remembering students who were children and are now adults and then devote the brain power to extrapolating what they could possibly look like as adults.
Right. Yeah, because he's this. I was familiar with him as an
giant of a
8th
guy.
grader,
Yeah,
and now
and
he's this ripped young man. And I'm like,
That's like taller than he is.
and I haven't changed in decades, so it's not hard to see me.
Right? And so Trent's like, yeah, he's just not aware of all these hundreds of students that he's taught and remembers every single one. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen because they change physically so much. And unless you have repeated occurrences where you see them or interact with a family member or, right? He's
Or
not
sadly,
going to remember.
Sadly, the saddest part about this is that it's easy to remember the kids that did you wrong.
Well, not did you wrong personally, but did not.
But created problems for me in my classroom.
There you go. Yeah, it's easy
like,
to remember the negative more than the positive. And this kid is in like AP calculus,
Yeah.
so of course he's not going to remember
Sad.
this awesome kid because he didn't cause a problem for him.
Nope.
So, right? So, it was really funny. We're like, and he's really genial and friendly with his kid, and he's like, awesome, I'm so proud of you, good job, and then we walk out and I'm like, you didn't remember him at all, did you? Says, no.
So once again,
anyway.
we're conditioned, or we condition ourselves to remember specific things.
Well, and it's not
And
just we condition ourselves, it's that our
Yeah.
brains want to be as efficient as possible, and they don't want to have to expend extra energy on
To remember everything. Yeah.
or paying attention to everything all the time, right? And so things are filed in the background, and like if you've seen the movie Inside Out, how like there's that dump for memories where they're just not important anymore. They're still there, they're just not rememberable, right? They're not accessible.
Yep.
So yeah, that type of thing. And so the reason we're talking about awareness bias is because if your spouse gets a haircut and you don't notice, it's not really because you don't love your spouse. It's because that's not something, oh, you changed your hair minutely, I must pay attention.
Or even not minutely.
Yeah. Right? I mean, yeah, every once in a while, I get a haircut. It's the same. Well, I want it to be the same haircut, but it's never right. Anyway, it's too short. Anyway, and we're on haircuts for a stupid reason. But anyway, the point is, I don't expect Trent to notice every time I change something about my look in some way and compliment me on it, right?
Right.
Because it's just not on his awareness radar.
Yeah.
Right? It's not something that his brain needs to pay attention to, because I'm not somebody who's like, ooh, I got a haircut, you need to compliment me spontaneously. That's not me. Right? Like,
Thank
whatever.
you. That would be awful.
Yeah, that's just not something I'm not that way. And so that's not on our radar. And so I don't expect it of him, and I don't feel bad when he doesn't do it, right?
Yeah.
I would feel bad, however, if I I can't even think of one. If the house was a disaster and I spent all day and now it's spotless, and he comes home and does not notice, that would hurt my feelings, because I spent hours
doing it
of effort on other people's behalf. I mean, my behalf too, but mainly for other people, and they don't even notice that I've done it. That would hurt. That that's hard for me, is that it's such a dramatic change and they just expect it, right? That's not. And so that awareness blindness,
even that is
as well,
can be tricky
in that, because
too.
it's like, it's not something that you need to pay attention to in a way that, I don't know what to say. Maybe more like, he doesn't want to comment in case I've not done it. And so he doesn't want to make me feel bad or notice the condition of the house because he doesn't want to have to comment on it.
Right.
And tread that minefield.
Right.
So I think that would be why he wouldn't mention.
Most of the time
that.
I come home around dinner, and so
it's a disaster.
So it always
because
doesn't.
It's dinner.
So even if you spend the whole day cleaning and getting the minutia up, if you come home and you're just getting it for dinner, you're not going to notice that.
Yeah, you're going to notice the pots and pans of dinner and the dishes in the sink type thing. And so, right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to notice the floor was mopped if there's dishes in the sink, right? There's just... Anyway.
Yeah,
so I guess what we're saying is, don't feel bad if someone's awareness bias or blindness is harmful to...
Seems harmful.
Because they're not paying attention to me or what I've done or something important to me. No, it's just that your brain is incredibly efficient, and their past experiences, like math, are the trigger for awareness, right? Mm-hmm. And so something that you're doing is not on his radar or her radar, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess the kind of a sum up is lower your expectations. No. Kinda.
Well, yeah. Kinda. Manage your expectations. In that, if you expect someone to make a specific choice, don't be too disappointed or upset or angry or if that expectation is not met.
Right.
Just because of someone else's way their brain works.
Yep.
Right? They haven't heard your vocabulary word yet, so it's not on their radar.
Right. So,
yeah, I guess that's what we're trying to talk about. We need a better vocabulary for this particular aspect of relationships that can cause problems.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So don't expect them to notice your haircut. Or if he washes the car, don't expect her to notice.
Yeah.
Like, or...
Weeding got done.
And we're not just talking about chores.
Yeah, chores, yeah.
We were talking earlier about if he's going to talk about sports, in one ear and out the other, right? And I try to pay attention and remember, like I pull things out of my hat, like how much a shot put weighs. I pulled that out of my hat today, and they're like, no. I'm like, and they looked it up and like, Mom was right? So things like that. But that's because I used to announce the major invitational track meet at our local high school because I was asked to by the track coach.
Yeah.
And it was great. And so I learned things that I needed to remember, right? And just like Trent learns things about math that just in one ear and out the other.
Well, and every 4 years in the Winter Olympics, we look at the figure skating, and I still can't remember all the terms.
Right. But he enjoys sitting next to me while I enjoy watching.
Yep.
And so, hey, figure skating is not on his radar, and that's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay that, not everything is noticed. Not everything you pay attention to. You just haven't researched that car yet, so you're not going to see it everywhere.
Yep.
Right? So just consider it in those terms. It's just he's not aware of it yet.
And if it matters that much to you, then make it worthwhile to have a conversation, and make it a an emotionally charged conversation so that it has
charged
not
in a positive way. Like,
right.
because when you add emotion to memory, you remember better.
Sure.
Like, just like how music evokes emotion and you remember better. It's also like a rhythm and like change in pitch and tempo and all those things help you remember better, right?
Yep.
And so we're not saying have it be an argument emotionally charged.
No.
But just have it say, hey, this is important to me and I would love it if XYZ, right?
Yeah.
I would love it if you noticed it when I clean the house. But on the reverse of that, he's now going to notice when you don't. Yeah. And I keep saying he. I mean, person you're
there
in
might
a
be a
relationship
little bias
with.
right now.
Yeah, there might be, maybe. But yeah, just like be aware.
Just be aware
that there is bias, no matter how hard you try not to be there. And by bias, we mean like you don't pay attention to everything, right? You cannot. You cannot pay attention to everything.
No.
You have to filter and be selective. And so if their filters out what you want them to pay attention to, you've got to bring it to their attention in a way that's not offensive or harmful to the relationship, but in a positive, uplifting way.
Yeah.
And a thankful attitude and a please attitude. And when they do notice, you
acknowledge
it, and you are grateful.
Oh, you noticed this. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you give them a hug or a hug. Either way. See, bias.
Well, you're talking, so it's fine.
Well, it's okay because I'm talking about you.
Right.
Or the opposite gender of me. So anyway. So those are our thoughts this week. And we're saying, do your best to avoid it, but it's
going to happen.
It's going to happen because our brains are efficient and they are seeking for ways to not have to expend as much energy.
Until we can use that whole 100% of our brain.
Right. So until that day, it's just there's going to be awareness.
Bias
and issues, right? So
exactly.
So the activity for this week is be aware of something that your partner or person you're in a relationship with, i.e. like sibling or friend or whatever you want to focus on. Be aware of something that is important to them that you are consistently not paying attention to.
Ambivalent, maybe.
Or ambivalent or unaware.
Mm-hmm.
And do your best to pay more attention and have that be on your radar and not filtered out. Okay. Bye.
Bye.